Game of Thrones is not over. We have 3 more episodes. It may feel like all of what we've been building up for the last 8 seasons has concluded. The characters have had their final battle, they've faced their demons, and we've won. But that's not the case. Now, I posted a video before this episode explaining why thematically I believe the White Walkers would lose in this episode. And as we all know now, they did. When the showrunners decided to take the title from the first book, A Game of Thrones, I think they wanted to focus on that type of story far more than the overarching A Song of Ice and Fire. It was far more sci-fi and mythical, and I agree that is a better approach for TV and for the show. So instead of having the White Walkers as the final boss and have this kind of anticlimactic, not that important ending, they can use a character we actually follow the whole series, who has been an adversary for almost every single character we care about, Cersei Lannister. And the reason I explained in that video was because Cersei was such a better final boss for all of our characters than some mythical, strange, ice demon king that we didn't really have any understanding of or really care about that much. Don't get me wrong, he's pretty epic and flashy, except for he's just not quite as important of an emotional character for us, especially when you compare it to someone like Cersei, who's been so much of a villain to all of our characters on a deep personal level. And so beating her and people like Euron will be far more important to us and the characters as a final end to the series. And in the process of beating Cersei, we'll have to wrap up all of the political ties, we'll have to wrap up where everyone ends and how the whole realm is organized after all of this. For example, who will be on the Iron Throne, if there's an Iron Throne at all, what kind of laws and things will be in place, what laws are changed. All of the other really important details that just wouldn't be covered if this was the final battle. So let's look at this episode 3 preview and see if we can actually tell how the show is going to break down these last few episodes and what challenges our characters still have to face before the end of the series. Now, before I go through scene by scene, there's 2 things you want to know, and I'm going to tell you. 1, Ghost alive. He's chilling right there. Has to be Ghost. He's good. Rhaegal, still alive. 2 dragons flying here. Maybe he's a bit wounded, but he can still fly. So, in action, still alive. There we go. Let's get back to the preview. So the people of Winterfell have a lot of dead bodies to burn. There is probably not much of them left. Their entire Dothraki horde executed. Almost all of the Unsullied deaded. Half of the women and children slayed. And the Northermen and Wildlings have been totally decimated. But hey, most of the main characters lived, that's cool. Like, I guess they could bury most of these bodies properly now, they don't really have to burn them because the Night King's dead, but at a certain point, you just don't take any risks. So we get a shot here of Cersei overlooking her army she brought across from Essos, the Golden Company. If you forgot what they're about, then TLDR, Golden Company. Sellsword companies are groups of sellswords who offer their fighting skills at a price to free cities, merchants, and kingdoms to help them fight in wars, defend their cities, and raid enemy territory. The most expensive and largest of these companies is the Golden Company, with about 10,000 men. This company has been heavily tied to Westeros as it was founded by a Targaryen bastard who lost a civil war and fled his remaining army to Essos, where they formed the company. Unlike some companies, the Golden Company is well trained and organized and are known to never break a contract, where other companies would flee at the first sight of defeat. This reputation makes them a lot more premium compared to other sellsword companies, and why Cersei definitely wants them. Over its history, the Golden Company has also fought in many rebellions trying to overthrow the Targaryens, so it's not surprising that they're going to fight in Westeros yet again. It's kind of sad to think that Cersei was totally right about not joining them in the north. Like, her army wouldn't have made much difference in that fight, but now she's got way more men than all of the North and Dany's army combined. Now, of course, Dany still has 2 dragons and the greatest assassin in Planetos, but it's possible that Rhaegal will be still somewhat injured from his battle and they won't want to put him in the front line, and we can't forget that the entire season, the intro has continually showed us that ballista and the dragon's head. So unless that foreshadowing's all been thrown to waste, they're at least going to take down one of these dragons with it, which could be devastating. So the dragons are at rest, Dany's armies are ready depleted, and Cersei has Euron at her side. It's going to be a difficult battle.
We have won the Great War. Now we will win the last war.
Now, in the previous episode, I really thought they were foreshadowing a death for Grey Worm, but we see that he and much of the Unsullied are still actually alive. I guess they did want to play on the kind of trope where the character who seemed the least likely to be able to integrate back into life after war will be one of the few survivors. Now, Dany has definitely won the loyalty of everyone here. Surviving that ordeal together really brought everyone into the same fold. Not to mention that all the Dothraki kind of died, so all the people who were kind of a little bit bigoted towards them or a bit xenophobic don't really have to deal with it anymore because all the people they didn't really like have been totally killed. I guess that's one way to deal with that issue. I do kind of wonder how this has affected Sansa though. She was very skeptical of Dany, and even after this ordeal, I wonder how much of that's going to last over into her still kind of being at odds with her. Maybe her thinking has changed because of the near-death experience, or maybe that one-liner from Missandei in the crypts. But either way, all the people around her are going to be way more trusting of Dany anyway, so she may have to cave on any of those kind of reservations.
You'll rip her out root and stem.
Now again we see them burn the bodies, but more important we get to see like a shot that seems to have almost all the people who survived it in it. Like maybe there's more people from the castle or out of shot, but that is not a large amount of people. And of course we see Grey Worm confirming him still being alive. And if my eyes are real good, I think I can spot me a wee Tormund in the background, so our favourite drinking buddy is still in the fight. At this point I'm presuming that anyone we didn't actually see die on screen probably lived this fight. Again here with everyone cheering and standing up and having their drinks in the air with Tormund in front of course, we can see how much Dany has cemented her place as the ruler, as in charge. It will be really interesting to see how much they bring back to the whole Aegon Targaryen thing with Jon. It was almost kind of cool to have him not be the superhero of this fight. Most of the time he was just flying around, bumping into Dany on her dragon, not even shooting his fire anywhere. So maybe they're saving a big Jon moment for down the road. This could be when he gets revealed for who he is, whether that even becomes an important part of the show or not, because it really shouldn't. Now we get this shot here of the dragon surrounded by a whole bunch of dead things it just ate in, and Dany's kind of like checking up on it, making sure it's okay. I'm not sure if this is Drogon, but it looks a little bit more greenish, so it could be Rhaegal. Like honestly, I can't tell the difference between the dragons half the time, but it could be that he has to eat a lot and kind of rest, but kind of heal up of his wounds, because he got mangled a lot more than Drogon did. But again, we see them both flying, so they're going to be both back in action by the time they get down to Cersei. So we can see that Dany's going to head down by ship to try and face Cersei, and we see a number of boats here. Which is a little bit surprising because her army looked a little bit more depleted than this, but maybe she met up with Yara or some other men along the way. But if she is going to be traveling down by ship, she's actually going to have her army down there quite quickly. I don't expect any major battles this episode, but definitely next episode. And we can't forget that Euron is at Cersei's side, and his prime element is on the water. So if he catches them sailing down, that's going to be really dangerous. So they might get surprise attacked before they even land, and we may see Euron be defeated before they even reach Cersei. Because this time, Dany actually has her dragons to put on him, and she learned from last time about not sending her dragons on him, so definitely coming out this time. So episode 4, they're going to have to face the aftermath of all the death and destruction that happened in Winterfell. And as much as they want to have this all be over and for Dany to win, there's still got another hurdle to jump. So it'll be interesting to see how they plan to defeat Cersei. There are some important scenes I really want to see in this episode, like a scene where someone talks to Bran and says like, yo, what's going to happen with you now that the Night King's dead? Like, you're just going to chill in that wheelchair, you're still the Three-Eyed Raven, what's happening there? I would really like to see a scene with Arya where she kind of talks with Dany and be like, yo, I took down the Night King, you love me now, so can I join your army because I kind of have another name on my list, and it's called Cersei Lannister? And of course we have Jaime in the mix here. He's beyond protecting Cersei anymore, but I don't know if he can fight against her, or if he can, it will take a lot of willpower. So maybe we'll need a scene between him and Brienne where they kind of pep talk each other up, and they really define their values and what they want to do going forward. So next episode's going to have a ton of really good scenes, and I can't wait to see how Game of Thrones does these last 3 episodes, and how the whole series actually wraps up. Of course, tell me you guys' thoughts about the episode we just got. It has so much to talk about, as well as what you think is going to happen going forward. Always love to hear what you guys think in the comment section below.